You're listening to the Loving Your Own Soul podcast, and I'm your host, Britt Olson. Guided by my own intuition, my intention is to deliver genuine conversations centered around health and wellness, spirituality, self-expression, and culture. In this space, I will provide you with real-life stories, theories, and inspiring perspectives to help you uncover and tap into your own true potential. I'm so grateful you've chosen to tune in with me on this mindful exploration to living a more fluid life through a deeper connection to the soul. Now let's dive into today's journey. I'm Britt Olson, your podcast host and holistic wellness coach, here for the purpose of guiding you to tap into your own true potential. And I'm so grateful to have you tuning in here today. Earlier this year, I started doing a few fun facts about me before every episode, and today I decided to change it up by offering you 3 of my favorite things that I have been eating recently. I know you all are always interested in learning more, and this topic felt really good for today. Of course, as always, do not forget that we are all beautifully unique, and just because I'm choosing to eat something or it works for my body, it doesn't mean that it will for yours, and that's perfectly okay. And to that point, I fully support you in making your own decisions for you. Okay, so food, such a fun topic. Well, let's see. All right, so first of all, a superfood powder that I've been loving recently has been maca. I buy it in powder form, and I've been adding it to my smoothies and morning beverages lately. I think you can also find maca as a supplement too, but it's honestly so yummy and oddly energizing. Plus, it's really filling too, at least for me. Maca Root, if you're not familiar, is native to Peru and is actually from the cruciferous vegetable family, so similar to broccoli and cauliflower, and was actually commonly used medicinally back in Peru originally before it made its way to other parts of the world. But maca supports energy, vitality. It can be used to combat stress and fatigue, and is really just all about bringing balance back to the body, which if you know me, you know I am all about balance. And super fun fact somebody told me recently as well is that maca has actually been used among some to increase sex drive or fertility. So that's kind of cool if that's of interest to you as well, but it is honestly delicious. I love to pair it with cacao, and then I will also blend it into smoothies or top it off of some oats too. So highly recommend maca. So speaking of cacao, something else I haven't been able to get enough of lately has been dark chocolate. Might be my reaction to Valentine's Day and the Hallmark holiday of the month, but either way, I love Hu Kitchen's dark chocolate bars when I'm craving chocolate. I also just finished my cycle, so that might be why too, but regardless, Hu has the best chocolate, and no, this is not sponsored, but Hu has so many different flavors of chocolate bars. I love them all. The mint is really good, or there's an almond butter and puff quinoa, and also a super yummy cashew butter one. I think there's something else with the cashew butter. I can't remember, but they're phenomenal. And the best part of these chocolates is that, well, number one, they're made with organic cacao and they're super dark, but they're actually dairy-free and vegan, and they do not have palm oil, no refined sugars, and no sugar alcohols. So it's actual good chocolate, which in return is really great for you as it's loaded with super healthy antioxidants, and then is also a good source of fiber, magnesium, iron too, and then some other minerals as well. And it doesn't have all the nasty stuff that's commonly added to chocolate. And okay, so last but not least, I have also been just in love with berries, especially strawberries. We did just enter into strawberry season down here in Florida, but I personally have not been able to get enough strawberries or really just berries in general. I've been changing up my morning smoothies with kind of creating this like triple berry peanut butter jelly smoothie that has been so good. I've been eating snacks of strawberries with coconut shreds and raw honey on top, or even just like munching on plain raspberries and strawberries. They're so good. So yummy. I love berries. Strawberries too are also an incredible superfood. They are packed with vitamins A, E, B complex, iron, zinc. They are also rich in antioxidants, making them really just incredible for repairing and rejuvenating the body. And strawberries also have a lot of anti-inflammatory properties. So that is a bonus. But yeah, as I'm saying this, maca, strawberries, dark chocolate, this is definitely a theme surrounding February, which is funny, but also wonderful foods in general any time of the year. But speaking of the month of love, today, really every month is the month of love, but February, we always feel a little more lovey with Valentine's Day, which is fun. Anyway, though, today on the podcast, we have Sloane Elizabeth, who is a blogger, author, and coach who specializes in helping women release diet culture, rules, and restrictions. And Sloane is one of the sweetest humans ever. I love her so much. In this episode, we chat all about love and intuition, food freedom, spirituality, signs from the universe, so many goodies. This episode was really so great, and Sloane is just so wonderful. She is also so accomplished for her age, although I personally believe the age is just a number. But in this case, her age just really highlights how capable we are when we truly listen to our intuition and then step into our flow. Sloane is so beautiful inside and out, and I just know y'all are going to love this conversation. So really excited to bring her on here and introduce her to you. And because Sloane and I had so much fun together recording, Sloane is actually going to be our lead guide for February's Modern Wellness Community Morning event on Friday, February 26th. So if you also fell in love with Sloane like I did, or are interested in learning more about how to live with love and intuition, or simply really just need an added sense of connection, do be sure to join us for this virtual meetup on Friday, February 26th. There is a link in the show notes to register. And while the event is a morning event, so that you can start your Friday off on a positive note, we do send the recording out to anyone who can't join us live. And I personally would love to see you there and connect with you. And you'll be able to also personally connect with Sloane, which is a huge opportunity in itself. Oh, and Sloane and I have also created, oh my gosh, this is so good. We've created a super special new breakfast recipe that each attendee will receive. I mean, this recipe is bomb. It's so good. I actually made it for breakfast the last 2 days in a row. It's amazing. I know you all are going to love it. And just a little hint on this recipe, you can think breakfast Sunday, and I'll just leave it at that. Link in bio, though, to join Sloane and I on February 26th. And I think it's about time to head over to today's conversation with Sloane. Oh, actually, one more thing. Then we will jump in, I promise. But this one is super exciting. I can't believe I almost forgot. So starting this month, I will be giving away one of my lifestyle tune-up guides each month for the next 3 months leading up to May, as we celebrate our first official year, 12 months of the podcast. So I will do a new drawing every month for those who enter. And if you don't get picked this first month, you can enter again in March and then again in April. So there will be 3 winners total. And if you're not familiar, my Lifestyle Tune-Up is one of my programs through my wellness company, Ambu, and it was developed to help you gain a clearer understanding on the best ways for you to support your body in this modern world we live in. With my tune-up, you'll receive 2 different opportunities to chat with me one-on-one so that we can dial in specifically what suits you best. And you'll receive my Prime Lifestyle Guide along with your very own customized guide, including suggested food swaps, preferred brands, pantry or makeover tips, suggested recipes, gosh, so much more. There's money-saving tips in there, cooking tips. It's honestly one of my favorite creations, and it is best for you if you're feeling stuck right now. You know you need to make a change, but you don't know where to start. You need new recipes. You have no clue what's actually healthy, air quotes around healthy in today's world, or simply just need some help navigating the murky waters of our wellness industry because it's tough. I feel you. So to enter for a chance to win February's Lifestyle Tune-Up, all you have to do is subscribe, rate, and review the podcast, take a screenshot for proof that you entered, and then DM me on Instagram at Loving Your Own Soul, or send me an email with your proof to lovingyourownsoul@gmail.com. And if you share the podcast or your favorite episode on Instagram or Facebook too, do be sure to either tag me or take another screenshot so that you can get an extra entry. So once again, if you subscribe, rate, and review during the month of February, screenshot it and send it to me on Instagram or via email, and you'll be entered to win for a chance. That sounded weird. Tongue twister there. You'll be entered for a chance to win a lifestyle tune-up. And the winner will be drawn on March 1st, and then the giveaway will restart again for the month of March. So it's really my way of thanking all of you for all of your support and love of the podcast. It truly means so, so much. But then to also further support our wonderful guests as well. It's not easy putting yourself out there. So if you are reviewing the podcast, be sure to also shout out our guests. Name your favorite episode or piece of their story that helped you the most. I know firsthand how much it means when you learn that your own story, experience, or vulnerable moment made a positive impact on someone else's life. And to that point, let's go ahead and get to it. Let's jump into today's incredibly soulful conversation with coach, blogger, and author Sloane Elizabeth. Well, Sloane, welcome to the podcast. I'm so excited to have you on here today.
Thank you, Britt. Me as well. I'm so excited to chat.
Yeah. How is your day going so far? Have you done anything fun this morning?
So I slept in, which was really fun and lovely. It's interesting because during like the middle of 2020, when everything was totally shut down, no social things to do, I was in LA and I had such a great sleep schedule. I was going to sleep at like 10:30 and I was waking up naturally at like 6:30. And it was amazing. And I've just gotten into a habit of going to sleep later since I moved to Miami, and I need to like get back on the early bedtime train. It's hard though, because I do need like 8 to 9 hours, but I love the morning time. So I try to kind of allow myself to sleep in some mornings when I can, and then try to honor my alarm on those other mornings.
I feel that so much. I'm such a morning person, but equally, I definitely need like 8 to 9 hours.
Yeah.
I've kind of accepted that over time that I need more sleep than other people. And
totally.
It's so nice. I actually took a bath this morning, which I normally don't do. I felt super called and it was wonderful. So if you ever want to switch up your evening bath routine and do it in the morning, I highly recommend.
That's really interesting. So I moved to Miami in August and I haven't taken a bath here yet, even though I have a bathtub. And the reason for that is because both my roommate and my bathrooms have like some residue from a bath mat or something that was in the shower. And, I clean my shower every week, but it's just like a little gross, and we're still trying to figure out like how to fully remove that. So I'm like stuck between wanting to have a relaxing bath and also questioning like whether I should soak amidst the
whatever is on there.
Yeah.
Totally feel that.
I know. I think she recently bought some more like heavy duty stuff. So this weekend I'm going to try it out because I do really enjoy baths, and I have so many bath salts and crystals that are just kind of like decoration right now, which is totally fine because they're so beautiful anyway, but I want to use them.
I know. I'll actually have to, when we're done, I'll send you a photo, but we just ordered some Brooklinen over Christmas and their sheets are amazing. I'm obsessed with them, but we ordered extra. They have this like, I don't know, it's some form of an all natural bleach, but it is the best. It's like these little tiny balls. It's the best thing I've ever used. It cleans everything perfectly. So I'll send it to you when we're finished because it might be the solution for your job.
I'm excited.
Glad we chatted about this. Well, so you are originally from LA. You're now down in Miami. You moved in August. How's life in Miami? How are you settling in mid-pandemic and everything too?
Right. So I love it. And I'm so grateful that I was able to move when I was. I wasn't really sure if I should wait until the new year. And it was kind of a balance between, of course, like being safe, but also living my life. And so I basically just decided to like follow the signs from the universe, which was showing me this perfect apartment, perfect roommate, and it was just like too good to pass up. So I love it here. It's similar and different from LA, but really just the warmth and the sunshine and the ocean really fuel me because I am an extrovert and that I get my energy from other people and I work with clients all day. But of course, like the Zoom fatigue is real and social media fatigue is real. So being able to be outside almost 365 days of the year is just epic. Can be by the water every day. So I'm really grateful for that. And I do love it. And this was like the first time I was able to really create my space from scratch, which was a really special experience to truly like curate my room and my space because obviously I curate food and food photography and my social media posts, creating content. So being able to create a bigger space was like so fun. And I really want to eventually decorate or create Airbnbs, like cool Airbnbs that have like, an Instagram that's kind of Insta famous. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but like,
yes.
like destinations like that, because I don't want to be an interior designer. Like I want to do what I'm doing, but it's so fun to be able to pick out things that really work in a space, especially for me. Like my desk is set up for productivity and I just have certain things that are small, but they really make a big difference in just like the vibrations of where I live. And I think that that's really important and something that is often looked over, especially as we're all working from home.
Totally. And it's interesting too how easily that can kind of get overlooked as well. But when you actually give it attention and like move through it intentionally, it feels so good. And you kind of start loving, like just loving those four walls that are around you all the time in your space. So I actually recently got into just like not an expert or anything, but was reading about Feng Shui and did the little Feng Shui wheel around my house to see where we were. And my house is actually pretty aligned, minus the bedroom, which was interesting. Okay. So I immediately was like, oh my gosh, I need to adjust this. Like I need to get this back into balance. But yeah.
Wait, so what is a Feng Shui wheel? Like, what does that look like?
There is a particular name for it, and I can't remember what that name is, but it basically, you start with your front door, or you can do like a compass as well. And there's certain areas of your home that are better for different areas of your life, such as like the wealth corner, your career, love, relationships, health, all the things.
Cool.
Yeah, you'll have to look into it. It's super interesting.
That's so interesting. I mean, my mom always said like your bed should be facing the door so that you can like see who's coming in, and you're not really supposed to have like a mirror in front of your bed or even a TV really, because it's like a third presence, or I mean, depends on how many people are living in that room, but like a second presence. But it's interesting because in my bedroom at home, I have the door that leads into the bedroom. And then on the opposite wall, there's a door leading into a little like playroom office space. And so I do have a mirror in front of my bed because she wanted me to be able to see the back door. So it's like try to make the best of it in the most feng shui way possible.
Absolutely. And I feel like that's so symbolic just of life in general, and kind of the conversation that we're going to get into with your work with food freedom and intuitive eating. And kind of, there are some guidelines that can be helpful, but at the end of the day, you kind of got to make it work for you and what you're dealing with. So
totally, because there are so many rules in diet culture, but also just in like health and wellness in general. It's like, okay, well, the Feng Shui way of doing things is this. And then there is, for health, like there's Ayurveda, which I love, and there's Chinese medicine. And then there's also like the people that love paleo and keto. And then there's water fasting. And then there's juice cleansing. And then there's people that are like, don't ever do a cleanse. And if you follow every single rule out there, you're just going to be like a puddle of nothingness.
It's like soul sucking almost. It's so much.
It is so much. And I think that there's a big misconception when it comes to like having food freedom and eating intuitively and then having a passion for wellness. And it seems a little bit black and white in many people's minds that if you love wellness, then you're probably obsessive or restrictive in some way. If you have food freedom, then you can't love superfoods or choose a salad over French fries. And that's not true. I will admit that like it can be a little tricky to find that middle zone, but it totally exists.
Completely. I feel that. I mean, even just like dialogues and things, like for me, I definitely thrive the best off of plants, fruits, and vegetables, food from the earth. That's just my body in particular. I do eat meat every now and again because I love salmon. I love good sushi, when it makes sense. I love trying food from other cultures and things like that. But I definitely have some people, which no judgment to them, but they'll be like, oh my gosh, you're going to eat that? And I'm like, I eat everything. Like I eat pasta, I eat French fries. Like there's no judgment against anything that I eat. So it's interesting.
Yeah, I used to have people, oh my goodness, this was so annoying actually, like all the time. Thankfully, it hasn't happened in a while, but I would eat, like a dessert that had sugar in it because duh. Mm-hmm. And my friends and my family would be like, oh my God, like you're going to eat that brownie? I'm like, fuck yes, I am. I don't know if we're allowed to curse on here, but
absolutely.
I'm like, yeah. And it's like, I hear this from clients also that they have kind of created this identity for themselves as like the healthy friend in the friend group or in the relationship or in the family. And so there's almost this like external pressure to keep up that image. Mm-hmm. And then people freak out if you like are eating something quote unhealthy. And it's just, oh my God, it's so toxic and not nice at all. Yeah. And so I feel like at this point I have put all my people in their place and been like, please stop making comments. And that's why boundary setting is just the hugest thing in life, I think.
Yes. I would actually love to learn about your boundary setting as it pertains to food and things like that and just eating in general, because one of the things that's always frustrated me is that a lot of us feel the need as if it's okay to like comment on what other people are eating or at a dinner table. It would happen to me with business dinners all the time where like my meal would trigger someone and that, they'd feel the need to come at me of like, oh, she's going to have a salad or, you're going to eat this. And it's just so interesting the way we feel that it's okay to comment on what people are eating.
Totally. And it's not okay at all. And I think what you said about like your meal triggered them, that's a really big key to remember that it's not about you at all. It's absolutely about them. And that can be so hard to remember in the moment because it seems like it's all about you, but it's not, because you can't make anyone feel a certain way. And so when I have my clients set boundaries with loved ones, I give them a really specific script, because if I tell you, hey, Britt, like that comment made me feel upset, you're going to get really defensive and be like, well, I didn't want to make you feel that way. Or like, I was just saying what was on my mind, whatever. And it's true. Like I cannot force you to feel a certain way. We have to take responsibility for our emotions and let others take responsibility for their actions and emotions. So if you are going to kind of establish like a spoken boundary, because I kind of see boundaries in 3 categories. It's like spoken, physical, and energetic. So if you're going to speak about a boundary, it's really important to, although this might seem kind of weird, like you have to take responsibility for how you feel. So I would say, hey, Britt, when I hear comments like that, I feel upset. Like it has nothing to do with you. It's a me issue, even though we know it's not really an issue,
Right.
saying it that way, framing it that way is a really great way to speak with people that are not self-aware. So that's kind of a formula that I use. And, spoken boundaries, I feel like people are only really comfortable with if it's really someone that's close in your life. But for example, my grandparents, they will always make comments about how large my meals are because I have a really big appetite. I eat a lot of food. And whenever I make like a big rainbow bowl or salad or whatever it is that's really big, they'll be like, oh my, are you really going to eat all of that? And for them, they're in their 90s. It's not worth it for me to set a spoken boundary. And the physical boundary would be like not eating with them. And I'm not going to do that. So I'll have like a really simple response like, yeah, I am. Want to eat with me? Or something like super simple. And then within myself, I remember that I can set energetic boundaries and that comment doesn't have to affect me at all. So I would say it kind of depends on who you're with. But if you're someone that's really struggling with disordered eating or negative thoughts or restriction, and you have friends that always make comments, that might be a physical boundary that you need to just, for the time being, not eat with them and set yourself up for success. That's what I kind of call training wheels. Like ideally, eventually we want you to be able to eat with them without triggering one another or without feeling anxious. But for now, in your healing journey, make it easy for yourself. Just don't eat with those people. And then the training wheels can come off eventually.
So cool. I love that. That's so much fun. I know in the moment it's not fun, but just chatting through with it with you, because we've all been there in some shape or form. That's what I think is so interesting about the work that you do. And we've all been there. We've all experienced it. But at the same time, a lot of us don't talk about it because there's kind of that, I don't know, maybe an embarrassment that comes with it of kind of admitting your feelings around food or your emotions or all that comes with that. However, food, we've also been taught that it is very emotional and it is like an emotional piece of us. But I would love to know, just kind of backtrack a little bit, how you got into your line of work, your purpose that you do, and just kind of a little backstory on who you are.
Absolutely. So I grew up in Los Angeles and I was always really active. And, my family, we would eat like In-N-Out burger. And actually I grew up eating McDonald's like every Saturday. I remember we would like go and pick up my babysitter and my brother and I would get McDonald's. So we were like,
wait, isn't it funny how McDonald's at one point was kind of like an exciting thing of like, totally. We're going to do this on a Saturday and we're going to get the Happy Meal. And it was like a treat in a way.
We loved it. You get the toy, the fries are delicious, like whole thing. And so we would, I was like a pretty picky eater, but my family, I would say, had like a, pretty like quote healthy diet, not restrictive. We would eat dessert every night, etc. And I actually had a baking business in high school. So I sold cookies and brownies. And I loved baking. Before I loved cooking, it was all about baking. And then I went through puberty really late. And so I started seeing changes in my body when I was like 17 instead of like 10, 11, 12, 13. So that really triggered my like body dysmorphia, like body image struggles. And all of a sudden I was like, what is happening? Because all of my friends had experienced that like years ago. I'm now realizing. And so I started thinking like, oh my God, I need to lose, however much weight. And I just kind of picked and chose different rules from different diets. And I've always been a math science kind of girl. So I didn't necessarily fall for all of the trends, but I was curious and I wanted to know more. And so I just had, the most ridiculous rules, and it was definitely restrictive. It was not allowing me to live my best life. I was trying to work out more. I was doing workouts that I didn't like because I thought running was like the key to everything. And I hate running. And so I noticed and I knew that what I was doing was not healthy. And so when I went to college, I was like, okay, I want to be able to live my life, make new friends. Like I was going to college alone. And I was also like kind of getting into nutrition and superfoods because I did love it, but it was like love, hate, fear all wrapped into one. And so really I think like my self-awareness mixed with my interest in science and then eventually my like spiritual, I don't really love the word awakening, but like journey is what empowered me to really heal myself. And it was my sophomore year that I took a nutrition course. And I remember I set up a meeting with my professor, who's still like a mentor of mine, after our first class. And I was like, what is the field of nutrition? Like, what are the professions? I think this is like what I want to do. But I went to Vanderbilt in Nashville and there's no undergraduate dietetics program, but I had no idea that that's what I wanted to do going into college. So I had started like a foodstagram. I was just making like healthy, still kind of restricted foods. And then I was like, oh, nutrition, I like want to do that. So while I was at Vanderbilt, I did get to do a lot of cool things, even though there wasn't all the classes that I would have wanted to take. But because there wasn't, I was unique in my passion. So I got to work with like all the dietitians on campus and do like cool events and stuff, which was awesome. And then when I graduated, I knew that I wanted to work for myself. I have never had a 9-to-5 job. I have been entrepreneurial since I tried to start like a million companies in elementary school and then the baking business and then the Instagram. And so I had started just kind of like general wellness coaching, just like pretty basic stuff, trying to help people just feel better in their bodies, eat healthier. But I knew that I wanted to really focus on something that was more specific, really impactful, and something that I was absolutely an expert in. And so that's when I really realized that I had a very unique approach to food freedom, and it was quite different than anything I had seen or continue to see people talk about. And that's really combining science from nutrition, neuroscience, psychology with spirituality and energy healing and manifestation. And so I, realized that that combination was really special. And that's when I started taking clients specifically working on healing from diets, rules, restrictions, people who really wanted to learn how to eat with love and intuition. So that's what I have been doing for over a year now, specifically. But I love doing that. And I also have some other offerings for clients that have already been through that. That's really about self-love. So it's not just about food for me. It's about healing in general. And I just see, especially because I'm so young, like I see a lot that will happen in my business and just like so many different facets of healing and using the intention of love and intuition, whether it's eating, moving, living, loving yourself, loving others, etc. So that's where I'm at right now.
I love that. This is so aligned. Remind me when we're done recording to ask you a question about self-love. I have an idea for you on something that I've been working on. So super fun, so aligned. No coincidences, as I truly believe.
Me too.
So you are completely in the flow, which I absolutely love. I would love to talk about, right now we're seeing the end product, so to say. Obviously, there's a full journey in front of you. But,
yes.
You have whatever it is, 16,000 Instagram followers, you've got clients, you've got programs, a beautiful website, you have a published, is it a cookbook, I believe?
So it's a cookbook and there's like mini chapters on a bunch of like wellness topics. It's mainly for students. So yeah, I wrote that book and published it on Amazon while I was in college. I'm trying to like get it to be an ebook again. I kind of forgot that ebooks were a thing. So if you're listening and you want to check out the book, give me like a week and then I'll try to get the ebook figured out again.
Cool. I love that. So fun. You are so accomplished for such a young age. I feel like it's so cool. It's so empowering and motivating to see. But obviously, with a journey, we kind of always see the end product, the shininess of it. I know you had your personal journey and then schooling and everything that got you to where you are, but what maybe did that journey look like for you? And even having to kind of like open yourself up on social media and maybe what didn't come as naturally in the process?
Yeah, I constantly feel like I'm still trying to figure out
Yeah.
so much stuff personally, business wise. And I have learned so much more out of college than in. Of
Yes.
course, I learned how to like be a human in college and, love Vanderbilt with my entire heart. But I would say, so I have always been a performer. Like I've been dancing, singing,
Cool.
acting like my whole life. And so sharing publicly comes easily to me. I love going live. I love being on film. I love podcasting. So that like public speaking part of it has always been super fun for me. I would say the two biggest like struggles that have occurred in my entire like entrepreneurial journey was one, when I went to Bali, I got my yoga teacher training certification. And I had been seeing some of my friends and just some like Instagram people adapting this like digital nomad life of, being able to work from wherever, just on their laptop in Bali. And I was like, I think I want to do that maybe. My friend and I were also thinking about going to Hawaii, and I love Bali and I've been twice, but that was like not a great time for me. I had my first panic attack. I like almost went home and like ditched my friend. I'm so glad that I didn't and that I like stuck it through. But I was like almost about to get on a plane to come home. And it just taught me that like, and I already knew this, but social media is like really shiny and it paints this beautiful image. And, parts of that are truly authentically beautiful, but just like what I eat in a day is not going to make you look like me, what that girl is living out is not going to fit for me necessarily. And it just reminded me or really taught me that like, I don't love travel as much as a lot of people do. Like, I love going on adventures, but I need my routine, and it feels safer to me to be at home, cooking in my kitchen, like in my own bed. And so I realized that like I do not want to be a digital nomad. Like I'm so glad that I can work from wherever, and that is such a blessing, but I don't want to live in Bali. So that was kind of like hard for me to realize because I felt like, oh, being an online coach, like you should go live somewhere crazy. And I would like to go back to Sydney, Australia, which is where I studied abroad for like 4 months in the near future, but it won't be like anything crazy. So that was one thing. And then the second thing that's kind of general is just like with social media, there's a lot of metrics. You have followers, you have likes, you have shares. And it's just been really hard for me to not compare myself to other creators and friends and feel like I'm putting out such like heartfelt content and it only gets like 150 likes. Where are the other 15,900 people? That is like a constant difficulty. And I'm not like complaining. And I never want, to come off that way of like, guys, please like my stuff. Like, no,
Right.
it's just that I care so much. And I just want to make sure that like it's getting to the right eyeballs who need to see it. But just like you and I don't believe in coincidences, like everything happens the way it's meant to. I just have to have faith that like the people that are meant to see that particular piece of content will, and that's about all I can do. So I would just say like the social media burnout is real. I consider deleting Instagram like every other week. But when it feels flowy and I just have fun with it, results come and it just feels more fun. So that's kind of what I'm focusing on currently.
Cool. I think it's hard with social media too, because you obviously have such a big heart and such a passion for helping people and wanting to share, and you're like, oh my gosh, this can help the world. And then you want the world to see it, not because you care about having 1 million people, on Instagram, but solely because you want to help as many people as possible. And you love, and you can just feel that, genuinity. I don't know if that's actually a word, but behind it. So
thank you. But so as you said, like, it really is just about wanting to help and reminding myself that, like, I am doing enough, even though there's a million different platforms and things to do. Like, I am doing enough. You are doing enough. We are enough. And that's just been like constant mantra recently.
Totally. I think it's interesting too how Taylor Swift doesn't follow anyone. It shows 0 followers on her Instagram, and she is so creative and just authentically creative. And I would love to know if that's for a purpose. I would feel that it probably is.
Yeah. I know a couple of not necessarily famous people, but creators that do that too. But part of me feels like, for me, like, I love creating connections with people, especially if they're going to like become a client potentially, or a student. Like, if I don't have any interest in following anyone and like not judging anyone that does this, I feel like that shows that I'm like above them in some way. But for like Taylor Swift, it's like she's in the creative world and like sharing her music. And so I understand that more than like me as a personal brand.
Totally.
That's kind of how I feel right now.
Yeah, I feel that. Plus it's fun too. Like,
totally.
I love seeing what other people are doing.
Yeah, me too.
So getting back to your current line of work with food freedom and intuitive eating, I know those can be, I don't know, I'll call them like buzzwords maybe, for lack of a better word, just kind of terms we see, whether that's on Instagram or in the wellness world. I would love to know kind of your description of each and what those mean to you.
Totally. So I actually prefer to use the term eating with love and intuition. And that's kind of my like signature method, because there is a defined way of describing intuitive eating, or like that is a defined term by a couple of dietitians who like wrote the book on intuitive eating, etc. And while I agree with all the principles, I personally don't love that it is principles, because principles is just another word for rules. Hello. And so I'm not a fan of that. So for me, eating with love and intuition means eating with love for the physical body. So still eating whole foods, like great sources, and making sure that your physical body is getting all the nutrients it needs. Also eating with love for your mental well-being. So that's really like the way that you behave around food, making sure that it is not stressful, anxious, restricted. And then eating with love for your spiritual and emotional body. So that's, like you said, food is emotional. So eating ice cream is actually really healthy in my book, as long as it is nourishing the emotional, spiritual soul part of you. So that's eating with love. And then the eating with the intuition is really unlocking your intuition on like a deep spiritual level, and allowing that intuition to guide you in deciding what you're going to eat, when, how much, with who, etc. So as I mentioned, like manifestation, energy, spirituality is a part of my coaching practice, because the classic quote intuitive eating just says, oh, your intuition tells you what you're craving and when to stop. And that is super surface level. And while that is a sliver of it, it is really just a sliver. So that's why I guide all of my clients to learn how to tap into their intuition on like a general grand scheme of things. And then they have the tools to use their intuition in other areas of life, not just with food. So that's kind of my philosophy around eating with love and intuition. And then having food freedom means feeling completely free and trusting in your body to choose what is best for you in each individual moment. So, you're gonna be in the mood for, and your body, your mind, your emotions are gonna want different things, different days. And so having the freedom to choose and trust confidently in each unique moment is really what food freedom is. So no diets, no rules, no restrictions, really just pure empowerment, essentially, to make super aligned choices for you as an individual.
Such beautiful work that you do. And I love that you combine the spiritual aspect as well, because it's so important and we are all energetic beings. And then again, just really taking that authenticity and making it your own and knowing, you know, okay, kind of here are the guidelines. I resonate with it, but there's something more to it in your opinion, which I completely agree with. So that is so cool. As humans, we want to naturally grow and to experience change. However, it's the fear of taking conscious action on these wants that keeps us stuck, keeping us unconsciously attached to an imbalanced life, attached to the habits and comfort that pain, suffering, fear, resentment, and limitations of our current realities provide to us. Whereas in reality, our true home, our real home, resides in a world of balance, a world we are aware of, yet also free of anything that no longer serves us. For balance is the key to life. Balance is the aim of all living creatures. We are all alive and living right now in this moment. Our earth is also alive. Our beautiful earth is mostly made up of water, and we too, as human beings, are made up primarily of water. Wherever there is water, there is life. And just as water must be kept in balance here on earth, we as human beings must also be kept in balance. After much discovery and witness to life's experiences, I created Ambu, a modern holistic wellness company. Ambu is a company designed to truly realign you on a mind, body, and soul level. Through my holistic wellness practice, my intention is to guide you to a more rightful and truthful way of living. A simple guide that complements and enhances where you are right now. Real change happens from within and is the key to not only transforming yourself, but your experience of the world around you. Together, I will work with you to uncover your why, adopt sustainable practices for long-lasting lifestyles, and expand to your fullest potential. Our lives, and especially the world of health and wellness, has gotten far too complicated over the years. Through my work with Ambu, I strip it all back to the beginning of time. Back to the basics, in order to bring you full circle, not to a new self, but back to the essence of yourself, your one and only authentic self. Ambu offers a variety of programs and resources, each built with intention to target how unique we all truly are. We offer a 9-week wellness program called Life Imbalance, which is a snapshot of our larger 6-month program, where we will open the doors to longevity, new possibilities, happiness, the power of plants, and your total well-being. We will focus on all areas of your health, from what you are eating and why you are consuming certain foods to what's happening off your plate. This program is perfect for anyone looking for a new take on life, specific attention on gut and hormone health, mental health, immunity, and even chronic illness. We look at the full picture of your lifestyle, from your sleep, relationships, self-care and daily rituals, spiritual or religious practices, career goals and stress levels, to daily movement and activity. You are a multidimensional being, and it's crucial we keep that in mind at all times. For my 3 and 6-month program participants, one will also receive their very own customized human design blueprint produced by human design guide Becca Daly. Together, through the help of understanding your specific human design, we will be able to even more deeply structure your life in a way that supports how you are naturally designed to operate. It's truly a win-win for all of us involved. And, of course, if you are someone who is simply struggling to eat healthier, knows you could be doing something different, yet have no clue where to turn, I've created my Lifestyle Tune-Up, a one-off option for us to find easy swaps, pantry replacements, and help you to better understand what is actually healthy in today's world. Plus, I will leave you with my full guide of preferred brands to shop for and supplement recommendations. All in all, a life well lived is a life that you are able to enjoy. It's time to rediscover your inner calling, your healthiest and brightest you that's been waiting inside of you for all this time. It's time to dust him or her off, and I'd love for Ambu to serve as your guide and accountability partner in this journey. So let's guide you back home to a life in balance through our modern holistic approach to wellness. To learn more, visit us at ambuwellness.com or connect with us on Instagram at ambuwellness, and let's transform together. Let's chat about intuition, because I love the spiritual side of things.
Yeah.
I guess kind of maybe let's walk back on it, on when did you first start tapping into your intuition, and then maybe kind of like same, other side of the coin in looking back, when were you using your intuition, but you didn't actually consciously know that you were using your intuition?
Okay. So I have always been, not anymore, I would say, but I used to definitely be a control freak. I
Same.
have always had anxiety, but I didn't really know it. It hasn't been diagnosed. I know everybody's anxious, but I just can see patterns now. Definitely had some OCD when I was little that nobody really addressed. And I have always been the group project leader, such a planner, etc. And I was always growing up, I was interested in self-help books, but I felt ashamed of that. I was like, oh my God, if I want self-help, that means that I need help and there's something wrong with me. So when I went to college and I was really committed to working on my relationship with food, I somehow, probably on Instagram, found Gabby Bernstein. And I listened to her book, The Universe Has Your Back. And I mean, I just got chills. It changed my life. I've seen her speak now. I just think she's amazing, especially for beginners, kind of.
Yes.
It's so palatable and it makes so much sense. And her stories are so beautiful and aligned. And so that book totally changed my life and opened me up to learning to surrender so that you can feel more in control. And that's a huge lesson in all of my programs, because so many people are scared that if you stop controlling your calories or macros or food, then you're going to be totally out of control. And yeah, maybe that will happen if you don't do it in a safe and guided way and you just cold turkey stop all of your really intense restrictions. But when you release control of the things that you don't need to control, and you start co-creating with the universe or with your body in terms of food, you're going to feel so much more in control and things are going to flow so much more. So that was my introduction to spirituality. And before that, I loved doing sculpt yoga, but I thought regular yoga was really slow and boring. But I started going to this really beautiful studio in Nashville that, no mirrors. They were burning Palo Santo and sage, and it wasn't sculpt. It was just slow and spiritual. And so I started learning about crystals and all the things. And I just felt totally validated. And I just felt I was allowed to explore this mystical, magical part of me. And I was just talking to a friend last night and we're definitely not 100% human. We're not total aliens, but we're not fully human. And so that was kind of what cracked me open and just allowed me to start learning about manifestation. And I mean, I love learning the science of it. I think that quantum physics is just the sickest thing ever.
Oh, so cool. I feel that.
Yeah. And so, I mean, now my relationship with the universe is something that I am conscious of every single day. And I check in with my highest self and my intuition multiple times a day. But looking back, I would say before that moment, before that book, the best example that I have is actually getting into college, because I had started, I think it's end of sophomore year, beginning of junior year, that you start kind of exploring. And I put all of my preferences in one of those calculators that tells you what schools you might be interested in. And Vanderbilt was number one. And so I did a virtual tour online. I just clicked on their website.
Wow.
I was okay. And I was I really like this. And I had, I'd never heard of Vanderbilt before. I had no idea what college looked like, or I grew up next to UCLA. So that was my only image of a college campus. And then from then on, I just like knew. And then when I applied early decision, and I applied to a couple other schools like early action or whatever it is. And I didn't apply to any school's regular decision. Like I didn't fill out any of my applications. And my friends were like, well, if you don't get in ED, like you're going to have 3 weeks essentially to fill out regular apps. And I was like, I'm good. Like, I know. I just know. And it wasn't me being cocky. I just knew, and I did get in. So like that was absolutely like divinely guided the entire process. And I just had so much calm when usually I was like anxious and planning. My parents were like, where's your regular decision list? They were the ones freaking out. And I was like, guys, I'm good.
Yeah.
So that was like a really big, like life decision, life moment that was 1,000% intuitively and divinely guided.
That's so funny. I have such a similar college experience as
Really?
well. For me, in looking at colleges, when I figured out, I grew up in a small beach town on the coast of North Carolina, and everyone, it's the South. It's very much where you go to a college in your state. It's like a whole part of whatever. And I was like, ooh, wait, I like learned that you can go to college everywhere. And I love to travel. I actually do love to travel. And I was like, wait, this is the coolest thing ever. Like I was so much like, forget college. I was like, this is such a good excuse to like move somewhere. Like that was my whole thing. And I didn't apply to any in-state schools. I think I did like early decision for a couple, kind of same thing. And, my parents, everyone else was like, but what if you don't get in anywhere? I was like, that's not an option.
Yeah.
Like, I'll figure it out then. But I was like, but I'm going to. And I had my heart set on some schools in Florida and things like that, which I did get into. So same thing. But it's so funny, just kind of like, with the parents, they want your best interest, or other people. It's like, oh my gosh, what are you doing? But you're like, no, it's okay. I know.
Yeah. You just have that knowing. You just know without any physical evidence. That's really what intuition is to me. You just know. And my intuition also really helped me to figure out one of my major food intolerances, which my doctor couldn't tell me. And I'm not saying that doctors can't tell you what you're intolerant to. It was just like a unique situation. And I was essentially like struggling with really intense acne on my forehead for like over a year. And part of it was definitely due to like excessive alcohol in my first year or two of college. But I just knew that like something was off, and I tried like the weirdest things, but I just intuitively knew it was like something that I was eating. And I went to my dermatologist, and she just gave me some topical stuff, and I left literally hysterically sobbing because I just felt like she wasn't even going to listen to me. She didn't ask me what I'm eating. She doesn't ask me how much water I'm drinking. She didn't ask like what products I was using on my face, like literally nothing. And I was like, this is so ridiculous. So that's when I like went to live in Australia, and I noticed that my skin was like slightly better after our weekend trip. So after just like 3 days of something different, my skin was a little bit better. And I was like, okay, what am I eating a lot of at home that I'm not eating on vacation? Or like, what am I doing differently? And at that point, I was more plant-based than I am now. I've never been fully vegan, but I was definitely more plant-based. And I realized that it was legumes that were hurting my skin. I wasn't really experiencing any like digestive issues, but unfortunately, I can't have beans anymore, which is so sad because I love them so much. But I stopped eating them. And after like a month or two, like totally clear. It was just like a divine download. I was like, oh, beans, duh, that's it. And I mean, I really think that when you can hone in your intuition, it will help you so much figure out like what really flows with your body, like what is totally a match and what is kind of a mismatch. And I think that type of experimenting, safely can be really helpful without like the, intolerance tests that I don't think work super well.
Yeah, 100%. I think too, people will, and I'm just like, situational generalizing. It's like, oh, I got tested for a gluten intolerance or a gluten allergy or celiac. And, it came back negative. So I can eat those things. But then it's like, but intuitively, I still feel like I shouldn't be eating that.
Yeah.
And it's such a sample of the testing and the Western medicine and everything like that is so incredible. And we definitely need both of it.
Totally.
However, there's something just so much to be said. I have a similar skin journey as well, where it was all just topical, or like, oh, don't eat chocolate. And I was like, no, doesn't feel like that's that. And then it was once and the whole time I was like, it's internal, it's got to be food. And then once I finally just kind of, got up the courage to like listen to myself.
Yeah.
Everything changed and it was completely internal. So it's just so funny how that goes. But for anyone who, and, it's always a journey as well. As much as you can say, I'm in line with my intuition, there's still little moments where I do become disconnected. And completely. I know same for you. What do you do to kind of like reconnect with your intuition? Or maybe for anyone who's at this standstill of, I'm getting a message, but I'm like too scared to trust it kind of thing.
Yeah. So for me, the biggest thing is first becoming aware that you're not in tune. Mm-hmm. And for me, physical symptoms are the best kind of reminder or signal to be like, hey, you need to chill and like reconnect. So for me, it's like my heart beats really fast and I'm like scatterbrained and I'm breathing really heavily and I feel super anxious physically. That is like, and it happens to me weekly. So I've gotten really like used to pinpointing that. I also encourage my clients to become aware of the different tone and volume of voices in your head. So how does your intuitive voice speak to you and how does the fear voice speak to you? Because they are different and they live in different places like in your body. So for me, first, like becoming aware, oh shit, like this doesn't feel good. Then moving into a different physical location is one of the best ways for me to move mentally. So if I'm stuck at my desk and I'm like super anxious and getting like jittery and worked up, I'll just like go into the kitchen or go outside. Outside is like the best for me. So if I can just like drag myself to go for a walk around the block, like instant clarity, relief, realignment. So physically moving can be a really great trigger for your mind to be like, okay, we're doing something different. We're moving, different mindset. I would also say like coming back to affirmations or books that always really ring true to me, because when you're reading certain things, you're like, oh my God, yes, like that's so true. And like that speaks to my soul. And then your email inbox is flooded and you've completely forgotten about that passage or quote. So if I can just like pick an affirmation card or like read a page in my book or an audio book and just be reminded, because I feel like with spirituality and with healing, a lot of it is about remembering or unlearning, not necessarily about learning something new. So similarly, when I feel disconnected from my intuition, I'm basically like, what do I need to remember? What do I already know to be true? Oh, I know that my success is inevitable. Like, duh. Okay, I can like breathe again. So becoming aware that you're not in tune, just moving to a different space physically so that your mental head can move, and then remembering your truth, remembering what it feels like to be connected to your intuition. That's like my 3-step process.
Yes. And we're all human. I think that's what's so fun too, is like, we're all energy, but we're also here having this human experience. Yes. And I love that remembering. It reminds me just when you mentioned, going into the yoga sculpt studio and with the Palo Santo and just all those energies and like learning about crystals and how like that felt as if you were almost like it felt so natural and kind of like you were coming back home. And to me, that's that soul's I'm like getting goosebumps as I'm talking. That's that like soul's remembrance of just like truth and what you are. So,
yes, because we all have so many lives before this one. And I totally agree with you that like when something clicks, whether it's like a person that you're meeting or a location or an activity, and you kind of feel like deja vu a little bit, or like this is just so right, it's because you've like been there before in some way, which is so cool.
It's so cool. You were in Bali. So I think it's interesting too how Bali's just so powerful. I had a very unique experience there myself, but have you ever gone into, to that point, certain locations, whether it's different countries or just places or even areas where you did feel that like connection or that weird like remembrance?
Yes. I would say Paris is a place that I've
Cool.
been once in high school, and I like was a French minor. Like I love the culture, and that's just a place that like always my heart is like always tugging me there. So I think Paris, and then the ocean just
Yeah.
in general. Like I don't surf, I don't love like necessarily swimming in the ocean. Honestly, like waves give me a lot of anxiety, and I had to be rescued by a lifeguard once.
Oh no.
Actually like not that long ago. But so I like going, you know, up to like my shoulders when there aren't waves essentially. But like mermaids are one of my signs from the universe. And I always say like I have mermaid hair when I'm like using salt spray or like using
Yep.
or just in the ocean. And so just being in water is just like it's hard to put it into words because it's just about energy and vibration. Even lakes, my family like goes on a lake trip every summer, and that's like my happiest place. In a boat, water skiing, wakeboarding, it's just like my bliss place. So
Yeah.
that sort of like water experience always brings me back.
Absolutely. I actually live on a lake myself, which is,
Oh.
I love it so much. But it's really funny. Before, so I'm sure you do as well, just a bunch of like Oracle card decks and things like that. But
Yeah.
this morning, I have this Mermaid deck by Lucy Cavendish, and I was feeling so called to pull a card from it. So it's just so funny that you mentioned mermaids because,
Oh my
again, that's
God.
just that little like divine synchronicity. So
Yes. Thank you for
as
that
soon as you
because
said that, I was like, that's why I was feeling so called to that deck this morning.
thank you for that. I mean, I ask the universe for signs all the time. And a couple days ago, I think it was like today's Friday that we're recording. So I think it was Wednesday or Thursday or Tuesday. I was just like, haven't seen my signs in a while. And ladybugs are my second sign. And then like since then, I've seen like 3 mermaids. This is like the third or fourth. And like 2 ladybugs. I'm like, oh, thank you, universe. Like
Uh,
it's just it's so essential. I love signs and synchronicities. It's just, I mean, it's so real. And like when you're taking a picture with like the sun behind you or in front of you and you see like angel light, I call it,
yes,
it's so real. Like those are the fairies. And, you know, I just 100% believe in all of that. And it just makes me happy.
completely. It's so comforting. It's like you get that just energetic
Yes.
hug. It's so
Yes.
nice. Well, we've spoken all about you and your journey and your work, but for anyone who's interested in connecting with you further, where can people find you?
So I mainly hang out on Instagram at Sloane Elizabeth, and there you can book a 30-minute complimentary call if you want to learn more about either my food freedom program or my body confidence program. I also have all the info on my website, which is sloane-elizabeth.com. And then that book is called College Cravings with a K. It's on Amazon, and hopefully I can get it as an ebook on my website soon. Yeah, so that's where you can find me, Sloane Elizabeth everywhere.
So fun. Well, before we close out today, I do love to end every episode with some loving your own soul questions, just so everyone can get to know you
Perfect.
a little bit deeper. But this conversation has been so much fun so far. So thank you
Yes.
for that.
Thank
Do you,
you.
yeah. Do you know your sun, moon, and rising sign?
Yes, I'm a Taurus sun, Libra rising, and Capricorn moon.
Cool. When is your actual birthday, if you don't mind
April
sharing?
28th.
Fun. I'm April 14th. So
Oh
Aries.
my
Yeah.
goodness.
I love April. I'm like
Me
passionate about having
too.
birthdays in that month.
Me too. I actually had a friend on my podcast yesterday. We were recording and we were talking about how like so many April birthdays we all had connections to. And like I also a lot of my like closest people in my life are Aries in like
Cool.
April or end of March. Like one of my best friends, my mom, my boyfriend, like
Oh, wow.
yeah.
A
It's
lot.
real.
That's so fun. Do you know your human design type?
I think I'm a projector. I think the one that like you have to wait for an invitation.
Yes, that's the projector. Yes.
Okay. Yes.
Yep.
That's
cool.
me. I need to learn more about it because I want to know the intricacies of it, because when I just read like the general description, I don't feel super connected. So I love, like, I actually was with Maya, our mutual friend, and we walked into a crystal shop and one of the employees like read birth charts and she like gave us free readings.
Cool.
Which was so sick. And so that, like, I definitely align with a lot of stuff in my chart. So I just need to learn a little bit more about human design.
Yeah. There's just so much to it. It's like you really have to immerse yourself in it.
Yeah.
If you were a fruit, what type of fruit do you think you would be?
Strawberry, I think.
Oh,
that's my favorite. That's one that just came to me. And it's like sweet, but not too sweet. It's like a little tart. Like there's a little bit of an edge. And they're like just so bright.
cool. I love that. Do you have a favorite animal or spirit animal?
I would say ladybugs. Some people tell me that ladybugs aren't animals. They're like, Sloane, it's an insect. But I would say ladybugs. Also, like dogs. It's weird because I have a birthmark that kind of looks like a paw print, but I used to be deathly afraid of dogs. And then we finally got a dog once I was like kind of capable of not freaking out when I was in second grade. And we recently had to say goodbye to her last year, which was awful, but I just feel like really connected to dogs. Like I just feel like I can energetically communicate, not in like a weird psychic way or like medium way, but just yeah, definitely. Like there's some weird stuff with me and dogs. Like I don't know why I was deathly afraid when I was little. Like I don't know what happened, but yeah, there's something there.
Interesting. It'd be interesting to even do like a past life regression on it or something if you're kind of like carrying something.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. I feel that. I have this theory that dogs sleep so much during the day because their soul is actually traveling off and like helping and healing people.
I just got like full chills.
Right?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, I totally feel that. All right. What is one thing that you're most curious about right now?
I am most curious about how we can communicate truth in the media, because I'm really frustrated with the fact that I feel like it's hard to just know the cold hard facts. Yes. And if anyone has like a news outlet that they feel like is truly unbiased, let us know. That's what I'm most curious about, just especially with like the past year. I'm like, I don't like that everyone has to be so skeptical and that you turn on one news channel and it says something completely different about the same story as a different one. So I'm just curious about like what a solution is, because I don't know what it is right now.
I feel that so much. And same with just like agendas from bigger companies and those in power. Like all I want is the truth so I can make my own decisions.
Exactly.
One day we'll get there. It's coming. Yeah.
I believe it.
We talked a lot about food. I would love to know maybe what are like some of your favorite foods or just even things that you're eating right now.
Smoothies of all sorts. Breakfast food really in general. So I would say like smoothies, French toast, and French fries.
I love that.
That's what I'll go with.
Smoothies and French fries. So good.
Together.
Right? Totally. I remember back in like middle school, I think people would dip Wendy's, their like milkshake things, their French fries in them. That was so good. So final question that I ask all of my guests. When did your exploration to diving deeper into your own soul first begin? And how has it evolved since then?
I would say my conscious exploration was really like during that sophomore year of college when I first found Gabby Bernstein's book. I think I've always been like, my mom always said that like I'm an old soul and my brother is a newer soul. And so I think that I've always been very self-aware, but consciously it was really, when I was like 19 or whatever. I think that the main way it's evolved is that instead of just looking at external sources like books and other people, I think that you can learn so much from others. But sometimes I get sucked into this feeling of, oh my God, I need that course and I need that book, when really I just need to trust that I actually have all of the tools that I currently need. So my exploration now is really self-guided and more trusting that like I do have the answers now that I've done a lot of work with those external tools. So it's just kind of come to be more inward.
I love that so much. Yeah. Spot on there.
Yeah.
That's so fun. Well, thank you so much. This was such a fun conversation. Just so honored to have held space with you today.
Likewise. Thank you so much for having me. This was amazing.
Oh, what an incredible episode. I just love Sloane so much. And don't forget, if you want to connect with her further, check her out on social media. She makes some of the best Instagram reels and videos and offers so many tips and tricks. But you can also join us, both Sloane and I, for our Modern Wellness Community Morning event on Friday, February 26th on Zoom. It's going to be so fun. It's virtual, so you can comfortably join from whatever location feels good to you. Link in the show notes to register. We would love to see you there. And we have a very special breakfast recipe collaboration that all attendees will get as well. And do be sure to enter to win one of my lifestyle tune-up guides for the month of February by subscribing, rating, and reviewing the podcast. Plus, you will get an bonus entry if you also share your favorite episode with us on Instagram or Facebook. Just be sure to screenshot your proof and send it to me as your entry on Instagram at lovingyourownsoul or via email lovingyourownsoul@gmail.com. And this lifestyle tune-up guide, it retails for $88, but is valued at over $300. And it has changed so many lives. I know it will change yours too. So thank you again for tuning in and being a part of this community. I love you all, and I look forward to continuing the journey with you again soon.